Hello and welcome to Radio Rock Bottom.
Welcome to Radio Rock Bottom. Today we will be your host.
My name is Casper.
And I am Jesper.
And last week we started this little project where we are talking about the ongoing superhero animated series called Young Justice. And every week here in January, they're going to be releasing 3 new episodes every Friday. And then they're going to have a hiatus, and then the rest are going to be shown in like summer or something, I do believe.
So today we've been covering episode 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, last time we took the first 3. Now it's episode 4, 5, and 6. And what 3 episodes!
I mean, it's pretty good considering what we've just watched. 1, 2, and 3. It's still going strong.
It's going strong, but funny thing is that, or I mean, I suppose it's made this way because I suppose they knew about the airing schedule, but the first 3 episodes were very much their own arc.
Yeah.
They were very much a whole story arc, those 3 episodes, whereas normally you'd say, oh, the first 2 episodes are going to be a story arc. Like, that's what they did originally with the first 2 episodes of Young Justice. Then it was like, that's usually how it is. Then they do like this double feature opening with like a cliffhanger or whatever. The old Justice League cartoon was pretty good at making 3 parts. So you have like an hour.
Man, I barely even remember those, to be fair.
That
has been a long time ago.
I've been rewatching these intermittently. You know that it's I'm a huge metal fan of all things DC Comics.
Constantly just blowing hot air.
Absolutely. No, so these 3 episodes were very different, and we're very much dealing with the fallout of the setup that the season has gotten us so far.
I mean, we're still going strong with the dead kids.
Also that children don't worry, children are still dying. Just not at the frequency that they used to be. I
mean, how many adults have died so far?
None. No, 1.
Did we have 1?
Oh yeah, the Karaki man.
Oh yeah, the assassin
who had the boulder dropped on him.
Oh, that guy.
Oh
yeah, I suppose the assassins in the first one were fairly young as well.
Which ones are you?
The ones who killed the royal family.
Oh right, yeah, those look fairly young as well.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, death, and of course the royal family died. The royal family died, so we have a couple of adults there as well. So death. No, so the first episode was by far it was really funny how the first of this episode 4 is called Private Security, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
And it is beautiful. It's all about this little family outing of the Harper family, which includes the original Roy Harper, Arsenal, who's no longer suffering from terrible PTSD, and his 2 adult clones, Jim and Will. Yeah, so we've seen Will so far, who was the Roy that we knew, Red Arrow, who was in season 1. It was revealed that he was a clone and that he had been installed into the Justice League very early on, or he had been installed into like the outer sphere of the Justice League as this sidekick, but he had been imprinted with this very, very strong desire to be a part of the Justice League. And so that's also why in the beginning of season 1 he's very angry that the very first episode where the sidekicks are invited in to see the Hall of Justice but not become actual parts of the Justice League, they're fairly they're all pretty miffed at that, but Red Arrow, or Speedy especially,
particularly.
So he goes solo, whereas the others band together. And we've seen him dealing with a lot of stuff. So in season 2 he was, of course, very much in deep depression, and he was stealing to fund his search.
He was not doing well.
He was not doing well for the original Roy. And then Cheshire shows up, and they have a child together, of course. And so Cheshire is, of course, Artemis' sister, and Cheshire is notably missing from season 3 so far.
Yeah, we did have
Will and
question about her.
Yeah, Will and Leon, his daughter are living with Artemis, who of course used to live with Artemis and Wally used to live in Palo Alto together, and Artemis has moved back to Star City to live with Will now. But notably, Cheshire's not there, but they're not together. Very clearly in separate rooms, and Artemis is very much still mourning.
It is just
Wally.
living together, nothing else.
Will having set up his own personal identity and found himself, he has
embraced the everyday life.
He has this business called Bowhunter Security, which is obviously a very, very neat little reference, but also it's just a private security firm that he's running, and it's just nice hours, good pay. Just, he used to be a professional superhero, so private security, I mean, it
makes sense.
It's not bad. So in this episode, Dick comes to him, and Dick is still on this whole mission to dismantle metahuman trafficking rings.
Yeah,
that's why he comes to Will and says, "Hey, I need your help for this one gig because I have Roy and Jim lined up anyway. I thought we could make this a whole big thing." And then
a little harbor outing, plus one Grayson,
a harbor family outing, and then. And Will is like, yeah, but you bat types only come out at night, so I'm gonna need you to do something for me before I even look at this. And then, of course, he manages to get them all into Bowhunter security uniforms, and it's just these.
Oh, it's just great.
These wonderful swole dudes with one cyborg arm, and just fantastic, and just everything is being done with this perfect comedic timing. It's fantastic. It's a really, really entertaining episode, interspersed with the heartbreaking, brutal family drama of the Satara family.
Oh yeah.
Because
that's just sad.
Yeah. So Artemis has after episode 3, where Breon, Dr. Jace, and Halo can't stay in Markovia, and 2 of them are metahumans, and one of them doesn't know her own identity. So basically, they've been taken under the wing of the people that we know. So,
just split out among the team for the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, so Breon lives with Superboy and Megan, and Dr. Jace is hanging out in Metropolis, where Black Lightning is taking care of her, and Halo lives with Artemis and Will, and Will is not happy about it.
No, I mean, understandably. This is a bit of a special situation. Of course, he's blaming it on Dick.
Yeah, and Dick is notably very removed from the situation because it obviously wasn't planned, but he's also not taking responsibility for it. But what I wanted to get in on was, so Artemis has obviously been trying to dig into Halo's past and trying to make her remember stuff.
Who she was.
Yeah. And it's just, and Halo is just, she's exploring her powers and stuff. So she's floating in her sleep and just floating randomly on the street. It's pretty funny. Well, then Artemis takes her to meet with Dr. Fate in a public park somewhere, just to see if Dr. Fate can discern anything. Dr. Fate says the interesting thing that I think is very central to the whole Halo situation. He says that it's a very old soul in a very young body.
Very young body, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
specifically a very young body.
Yeah, she's 16, but a very old soul in that sense. So something's definitely up there. And then, of course, Satana shows up, and apparently they've had this arrangement where she can see her father for an hour.
Once every year.
Yeah, and he has not aged well, and just this one measly hour, and then... And Satara is, of course, after the hour is up, it's heartbreaking that they have to say goodbye and have to rest out of each other's embrace, and just
of course.
And Satara says that we
have to uphold our end of the bargain.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have to stick to the rules, or else Naboo, the entity that lives in the helmet and controls fate, will never give them the opportunity again. And if you remember back in season 1 of Young Justice, this comes from Naboo having been used to solve problems, basically. So
yeah, pretty much.
So for some reason, the team was in the possession. The helmet was in the possession of the team because Wally, of course, struck an unlikely friendship with Kent Nelson, the original Dr. Fate, and so he became the holder of this helmet. And then Wally used it at one time. Dr. Fate wasn't very powerful because Wally didn't have high magic potential. And then
I vaguely remember these parts.
Then Kaldur used the helmet.
Oh, yeah.
And even though Kaldur is not a big-time magician,
but still,
Fate's potential was enormously higher. And then for the very last time that they used it, it was Satana that wore the helmet, and Naboo at that point was like, "This is nice. I like it here."
Yeah, he didn't want to let go.
But also then he was like, I am not something that you can just put on to solve your problems. So he did not want to let go of Satana, and that is where Satara came in and offered his body to host Naboo instead.
Yeah.
To allow Satana to live her life, because she was only 14 at the time.
God.
Yeah, it's quite awful. So she's lived since then without her father.
Well,
yeah,
1 hour a year.
Yeah, that's
gotta suffice, right?
But I think that's also been, I don't know how long they've had that arrangement, but it's been 7 years since.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I suppose since the end of
of
that.
So Satana has a new protege as well, who's a part of the team, Tracy 13, who was she was a love interest of Jaime, Blue Beetle in the comics, and she's also seen hanging out with Bart and Jaime, in El Paso. So that's pretty fun. So far, we've only seen her.
Form of a neat little gang.
Yeah. So far, it's nice to see more magic, because if in the realm of magic, we've only really seen, of course, the Wonder Woman sphere of the world, but that's a very that just seems like another metahuman sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right? And then we have Satana and Satara, and those are very specific, with the backwards speaking.
Yeah, I really like that. It feels pretty unique.
It is pretty unique, and they have the whole stage magician aesthetic.
Yeah.
With them as well, and that's pretty cool. And then we have the Atlantean magic, which is this. For Kaldur and Lagan, it was specifically magic that they channeled through tattoos.
Oh yeah.
If you remember.
Yep.
So Kaldur could very limited.
Well, I mean, once you point it out, I do.
very limited hydrokinesis with his water bearers. Those handles that he has, and he has those handles that he controls water with, and like he can very limited amounts of water can he really use.
That was also what he used to stage Artemis's fake death.
Exactly,
back in the days.
He could bend the water knife around her body.
Yeah.
So that onlookers would seem that he had impaled her. And then he also had a thing where he could conduct electricity through his hands.
I vaguely remember something like that.
That's what he used to overpower Blue Beetle.
Oh, right.
Because Blue Beetle is vulnerable to magic for some reason.
God, I just recall season 2, the opening with Kaldur just wiping the floor with everyone.
Yeah, but that's also this is when he blew up Mount Justice.
Yeah,
that's the first time.
You say that so casually.
That's the first time that. It was casual. That's the first time that the Scarab takes over Jaime.
Is it?
Yes, that's the very first time, and basically, so we're dealing with Icicle and the Terra Twins and Calderon. That's a pretty tough crowd. Superboy is out of commission. Impulse is out of commission. Yeah. Everybody's basically out of commission at this point. Nightwing is out of commission, and so the Terra Twins they're tough. They're really tough, and Icicle isn't. He's played down, but I mean, he's as powerful as any ice villain, more so than most of them because he's actually a metahuman. But so the thing is that the moment the Scarab takes over, he bodies everybody around him and goes straight for Kaldur. And it's only because Kaldur. Then he tries to fight him, and he manages to zap Jaime in the chest so that the armor retracts, and Artemis Tigress hits him with some sleep darts in the exposed skin, and that's how they take out Blue Beetle.
Yeah, because, I mean, good luck taking out a fucking Beetle.
Yeah, because the Beetle is the second most powerful weapon in the universe, only surpassed by the Green Lantern ring.
Yeah.
So that ain't nothing to fuck with.
I feel like we went on a bit
of a tangent there. There's also some stuff happening on New Genesis.
That was actually really interesting.
That was really interesting
what's
because
happening there.
We saw Orion, or someone posing as Orion, who turns out to be McGann's little brother, who is, as far as I know, an original character, at least in this context.
I was going to say I didn't know anything about him prior to this, so.
No, but so the thing is that she has mentioned previously that she has a quite large family on Mars.
Right.
And they did visit Mars. Season 2 ends with when Kaldur is giving out the mission briefings. He's talking about Barza the guy who was the Green Beetle in Season 2.
Oh yeah.
Martian. He mentions that he is called for aid on Mars, and they do reference something happening on Mars and stuff like that. So obviously they've been to Mars in the 2 years that has passed and reconnected, whatever. The thing is, this is the first other white Martian that we see in Young Justice. And
we're also seeing,
the thing is, he calls himself Malefaak, which is notably in the comics of John's main villain. John's brother.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's usually John's brother and evil Martian villain dude. And
what was his real name though?
Macam Mors.
Right.
Just like McGann Mors.
Yeah, that's how it was.
Yeah. But that's really interesting to see. So what they've done is, instead of Ma'alef-Ak being a name, it is a creature that instills great fear on Mars.
Yeah.
And so he calls himself Ma'alef-Ak, for once because it's a fearsome creature, and two, because it's a slur that the Green Martians use.
Well, also to reject his Green Martian name.
Yes, because they are, I suppose, adopted, I guess.
I suppose so.
I mean, they are white Martians, but I don't know how it exactly works with the races on Mars.
I have no idea.
We've just learned that there are also red Martians. I had no fucking clue, man. No, but like that's
really, would be interesting to see, by the way.
But it's really interesting making Malefaak a title, and he's embodying this, her little brother, her biological little brother, because she's of course also been considering Garfield. Beast Boy as her little brother.
Oh yeah.
After he received a blood transfusion from her and gained her transformation abilities. That's how he became Beast Boy.
Yeah.
Or I suppose it's his metagene that. One thing was I think it's a combination of his metagene that activated from the trauma and then it adapted to the Martian DNA.
That could be.
I suppose. That's
either way. I mean, that's
his eyes turn green afterwards, and then so it's dealing with some. This episode is dealing with some drama between the New Gods and the surface dwellers on New Genesis.
The Bug People.
And
did we ever get an actual name for the race?
The Hive, they call themselves.
But wasn't it just the group?
They call themselves
the faction.
They call themselves the Hive with a capital H.
Oh, that's true.
But I don't know if it matters even, or if that was just.
I figured that was just their community.
Just a way to introduce Forager.
Yeah.
New character, new.
God, he's great.
New Genesian character. He's pretty cool. And so the final
adorable little bug fella.
Final episode then dealt with the League of Assassins. So, if you remember,
Yeah.
So signs point towards Tara Markov, who was, of course, the impetus of this whole thing. That it seems that she's in the hands of the League of Shadows.
What is the difference between the League of Shadows and the League of Assassins? That's actually...
Only the name.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's only because they don't want to say the name Assassins in a kids show. That is the only reason.
Dead kids are okay, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it was different. It was different when they started. So I mean, the League of League
of Shadows sounds pretty cool too.
League of bad people that Rachel Gould controls. And so, but their headquarters is notably empty, and only Raish, Ubu, and a few other people are even there, and they learn that there has been an internal restructuring in the light, and that Rachel Gould is not a part of the light anymore, and that he's also not the leader of the League of Shadows anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty significant.
Other things. And then the most important thing about this episode in particular and the other episodes is that I was fucking right.
Yeah, it seems you get to pat yourself on the shoulder here.
I called a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So one thing was, we obviously knew that Barbara was Oracle, or we could
infer it.
We actually didn't know that it was Barbara, but I mean, it was Oracle.
Yeah.
It was pretty obvious that she was gonna be Oracle. The question was she going to be wheelchair bound or not?
Turns out
she is very wheelchair bound. She's also in a relationship with Dick, so all of that also lines up. So
and Nightwing.
So she's in a wheelchair. Bang. 1 point. In the very last episode with these guys, the League of Shadows, there is...
Yeah, we got the other points.
There is a ninja boy. There is a ninja boy who's wearing a red hood.
The red-hooded ninja.
A red-hooded ninja. And at the end of the episode, when the team takes off, Raish graciously allows them to go, because Raish is a cool dude. He's always been a very cool dude, especially towards Bat-affiliated people.
He has this funny relationship with them.
Yeah, I really like that. And so the boy casts down his hood and says Dick's surname. He says Grayson. And
I like the pause.
Yeah. And
he says Dick's. Cut. That's the end.
But Dick was there as Nightwing. And
yeah.
He has a secret identity. And the Red Hooded Ninja says Grayson. And he just has Jason's fucking hairstyle. And he was wearing a red hood. And he's being trained by the League of Shadows.
Yeah.
It ticks all the fucking boxes.
It really does.
Death in the family confirmed.
Yeah.
And then...
it's only speculative so far.
One more thing. Talia was there. With a child. With a baby on her arm. I fucking mentioned Damian. Last episode of this podcast. So
I'll be curious to see what they take that, because it's pretty significant that they actually show us.
This we can actually go a little bit further here, because so far it seems like a lot of the focus so far has been around familiar relationship, especially brother relationships. So you have the whole deal with Brion and
Gregor.
Gregor, is that his name?
His brother.
Mother of God!
Oh, I love his accent. It's great.
Brion is pretty
dope.
He's voiced by Troy Baker, who is a very prolific voice actor and who has also voiced Nightwing on other occasions.
It's quite a bit, really.
Yeah, Troy Baker is very prolific. But okay, so brother relationships. So we have Megan and Macomb, and we have the whole thing with Nightwing and Jason. And if you then introduce Damian into the mix as well, where does that leave all the bad people with Bruce?
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting.
And you have not only do you have Brion and Gregor, you also have Brion and Tara.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason that he's is there.
Yes.
Search for Tara.
And also the Roy people. The Roy people consider
the
Roys. They consider themselves brothers now as well. And we actually totally.
Do they, all of them?
Yeah, they do.
Even Arsenal?
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, he was the one who called him bro.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah. So he seems very chilled out. We actually forgot to mention when we were talking about Bowhunter security that that Nightwing was specifically using Will as a substitute for Wally.
I mean, he called him Wall.
Yeah, he called him Wall by
which he picked up on very fast.
Yeah, it's just the red hair. No. So Will called Nightwing out on his shit, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, and as he said subconsciously, that's why he was picked. He needed him there.
Yeah.
To keep him grounded.
Yeah. Also, Nightwing has obviously been distancing himself from people.
Yeah.
See, he says he doesn't do teams anymore, but now he's set up his own little outsiders team. So Batman has his outsiders, and now Nightwing, they officially made a team with those that don't fit on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they said.
Which is Brion and Halo and Forager and Black Lightning and Tigress and Nightwing and I suppose Miss Martian and Superboy.
Who called that out, by the way? Just like that, you're the leader of another team.
Yeah, that was Miss Martian.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, we talked about that being a parallel to what Bruce was doing with the Justice League. I just think that the difference, it might be a parallel, but there's a very specific difference there as well, because Bruce did it because he was being held back.
Yeah.
Nightwing is doing this because this is the only place these people belong. There's a stark difference in that.
But that also goes back to him always not wanting to turn out like.
But it also goes back to the origins of the team. Like they clearly did not belong on the Justice, or they were not allowed to belong on the Justice League. and then they had someone like Superboy, for instance, and Artemis, who came in as well, and Megan especially also. It's like, these people don't belong anywhere. They have nobody. Artemis, the daughter of not one but two supervillains. Superboy, a force-grown clone of Superman and Lex Luthor, and Megan, a secret white Martian.
I always liked how Superman just didn't want to
to
face him.
He didn't want to deal with Superboy in the beginning.
Nope.
It's just
I'm out.
Deadbeat super dad. He came back on that though.
Yeah, but I can understand how that would be just a smidge uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not unjustified in being extremely uncomfortable with the situation.
No.
I totally get that. But I mean, that's what friends are for. So Bruce was I won't say he was ready to adopt Connor at that point. He was, after all, only on his first Robin at that point. But Bruce,
I was gonna say, could you imagine him as a Robin?
Bruce is very quick to adopt children. But the thing is, Damian has had superpowers for a while in the comics.
Really?
Damian had Superman-like superpowers for a while after he was resurrected.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And that was, I mean,
what?
Damian was hard enough to deal with.
Yeah, before that.
Yeah, like Dick had to make him Robin when he took over as Batman, because they couldn't control him otherwise. They were afraid that he was just gonna go out and kill indiscriminately.
I mean, I can see why.
Because Damian is also force grown. He is a biological child, but he was incubated and grown quickly, and then raised by the League of Assassins.
Yeah, from
birth.
Yeah, he hasn't ever known a normal life of any kind.
No. So he's turned over to Bruce, and
Is that your neighbor vacuuming?
I hope not. And so,
Holy shit!
well, then Bruce dies or is misplaced through time, and Nightwing is just Tim flips his shit when Damian is chosen to be Robin for the new Batman. And Dick keeps saying that it's because he considers him an equal and not. Tim wanted to be Robin with the new Batman, but that shit didn't fly because they had to control Damian. So another thing in the scope of Young Justice that's probably a little bit more relevant to that is that even though everybody knows his identity now, he's still keeping one secret, and that's Oracle.
Yeah.
So there was one point when he accidentally said "we" when referring to something that him and Oracle were working on together.
Yeah. So that teamwork is not even out in the open.
No, exactly. So and he was asked "we," and he said, "I mean I."
Yeah.
So the others don't seem to know about Oracle.
Nope.
So he's
not at all.
Still keeping secrets.
I wonder how that's gonna go.
It's always turned out well for him when he's been keeping secrets. You know this.
Just in series in general. Can't keep a secret.
Yeah.
Because if you do, it'll just make drama.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Halo. Because she's, of course, has been a focal point in the series so far. And so
I mean, she was pretty much killed off screen in the first episode.
Yeah, and then killed again in the third episode. And now killed again in the sixth episode.
Oh god, yeah.
She's been killed 3 times now. There are snuff compilations of her out there. They're just growing every week.
Oh yeah, so just recently she got her neck snapped.
All the way around, 180 degrees.
You get to see face as she falls. And just,
turn around and everything. No, so, but of course she gets better.
I like Rachel's comment to that, by the way.
Yeah, resurrections do happen here, but not usually without a Lazarus kit.
Completely unfazed.
Completely unfazed by it.
Oh, well, fair enough. Another one.
The thing that's interesting is that obviously she has a special relationship with Sphere. Like
she does,
before she could even comprehend human speech after her first resurrection, she seemed to have made a special connection with Sphere.
Yeah.
And especially in these last few episodes, we've seen Sphere reacting with corresponding lights and sounds whenever she did something, especially when she was healing.
Yeah.
Sphere has been emitting the same purple light that Halo emits when she heals. And so we also learned a thing about her is that her powers are tied to like auras. So she emits a different wavelength depending on what type of power she's using.
Yeah, so far we've had 3 different.
Yeah, purple, orange, and yellow.
Yeah.
And we've also seen her in promotional materials with green, I do believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's been a few different ones. We might just get her through the whole spectrum, just like the character she's based on.
Oh my god.
Oh my lord. We have an actual drafter. We have a full spectrum. I did not expect that to come in. Full spectrum polychrome. A prism.
No one's going to know what we're talking about.
No, it's a book series by the great author Brent Weeks.
Read it.
Where magic is, it's called. The first book is called The Black Prism. It's called the Lightbringer trilogy. There's 5 books. Well, it's based around light magic, and it's the same sort of thing where not so much light magic, but magic powered by light and wavelengths in that sense. So a different color will do different things. Basically,
I mean,
that's
before we go in too deep on this one, we could do a whole podcast just on that alone. That's a lot. It's good. Go read it.
It's very comprehensive. So, but she's been exhibiting some of the same things. So her red light allows her to use shields. Specifically, that's the only thing we've seen so far.
It's only available in Amsterdam, though.
No, shield and flying.
And flying, yeah.
Yeah. And then she had the
yellow one was the blast.
The yellow one was a light blast. That was the latest one she had. And then the purple one that allows her to heal.
Yeah.
And as we said, Sphere has specifically glowed purple in her presence when she was healing as well.
Yeah.
So it seems...
Yeah, Sphere glowed purple, and then, like, very shortly after, she started doing so as well, and began healing.
So the thing is, also, we learn her actual identity in the final episode. And she does not seem particularly...
It brings back memories.
It brings back memories, but they seem very removed from her, and not just in the way that, I put my past behind her. It seems like she's an entirely different person.
Yeah, she's completely rejecting the idea of
her previous
of her being that, and she's just making a new one. Her
previous name.
Yeah.
Even though things like, so Artemis asks her about her hijab, and she just says it feels right.
Yeah.
She doesn't have any reason for wearing it other than it feels right. And when she's presented with her old name, she rejects it, and she calls herself Violet from now on. And so those things are because Brion, who is nicely shaped, by the way, by her words, naked.
Yeah. That form is not what is broken about him.
Yeah, so she calls herself Violet, and she's very enthusiastic about this whole thing. But so, taking all of these things, taking her connection to Sphere, taking her rejection of her previous identity, taking Dr. Fate's comment about being an old soul in a young body, and the fact that in the metahuman lab, in one of the first episodes where Connor noticed a mother box that had been taken apart and murdered, he said.
Yeah, what might have happened to that?
Mother box is a sentient new Genesis-based computer. So it's a life form. It's a computer life form in that sense.
It should also be noted that she's got this knowledge of New Genesis.
She has encyclopedic knowledge of New Genesis. When she meets Forager, she just blathers out some, and like she has trouble with language.
Yeah.
Or she has had trouble with the English language so far, and all of a sudden she blurts out encyclopedic knowledge verbatim about.
She just heard this one offhand comment about New Genesis and just started spouting a whole lot of fact about it.
Yeah. So also that all of this leads me at least to believe that there is some. I think there's a part of that mother box that's in her now.
That would seem very plausible.
Yeah. So that's very interesting, and would definitely have a. I mean, we just need her to open a boom tube, and then then it'll be complete. Then the theory will be fucking confirmed, like my Red Hood.
And then you'll call it again.
I will have called it. Another thing that's interesting to talk about is Tara. And this new member of, I think we can probably go so far as to say that Raish has probably been replaced within the light. If you think about what happened in between season 1 and 2, where Ocean Master was removed from the light, and and Black Manta supplanted him.
Yeah.
Do you remember? You don't remember much from season 2.
No, but jog my memory. Yeah.
Okay, so Deathstroke was a thing in season 2 of Young Justice.
Yeah.
He was a fairly small thing. He was a fairly low level enforcer for the light, but he was, for some reason, he wasn't quite as big of a deal as Sportsmaster was. But what a fucking world!
Oh man, I love fucking Sportsmaster just being his own fucking meme.
Sportsmaster is hilarious, and just they actually made him legit. I mean, he was so silly. He's so silly as a concept, but they made him real legit.
He was fucking cool.
Yeah, just the way that after they think that Kaldur has murdered Artemis, just Cheshire and Sportmaster just sets all of their differences aside and just go on a vengeful spree.
Oh yes,
against Black Manta and Kaldur, and it's hilarious. It's just
vengeance is a sport.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not because he's hurt. It's just because it's hurtful to his reputation.
Yeah, it's his pride.
You can't take out his daughter.
You don't do that.
You don't do that. Oh, so anyway, Artemis, when she's undercover as Tigress in Black Manta's organization, she works very closely with Deathstroke, actually.
Oh yeah.
And Deathstroke mentions very briefly, I do believe, that he would like to climb higher in the ranks of the light.
Right.
And so one of the things that's remarkable about this whole Terra Markov thing is, of course, the classic Teen Titans story, the Judas Contract, which basically revolves around this new member of the Teen Titans known as Terra, who is an Earth mover, who becomes a very loved member of Teen Titans and close relationship with especially Beast Boy, and turns out to be an agent for Deathstroke.
Right.
And so we know Terra is in the League of Shadows right now.
That much has been confirmed, yeah.
We know that Deathstroke wanted to climb in the ranks. We know that Raish was dead for some time between season 2 and 3. Raish died.
Did he?
At the meeting.
Oh.
Where Kaldur betrayed the light.
Right, yeah.
Raish straight up died, and Ubu was like, "The master will be resurrected!" As he grappled out of there.
Yeah, I should remember that. Oh, yeah. God.
So it's
yeah.
I think it's likely to say that there's been a power vacuum, and Deathstroke definitely needed to redeem himself, because he was taken out off screen in that meeting as well, and Megan was posing as him in the meeting. Right. Yeah. So all of these things. So League of Shadows has a new leader. There's probably a new member of the Light now that Raish is not there anymore. Terra is a thing, and Terra is a thing in the League of Shadows. All of this, to me, seems like we might be going towards Deathstroke. And
interesting.
To make him a more legit thing would also be cool. Also because he was like the original villain of the Teen Titans, and since Young Justice kind of fills the same place in the world that the Teen Titans usually do,
it would make sense for him.
It's a pretty
for him to have more of a spot.
It's a pretty cool little thing to have there, and this sort of brings. In no way does this bring us into our last subject for today, but a very important subject. So we know that Apocalypse is a thing.
Definitely.
For this season, because that was what we were going towards. There's been these little sprinkles of New Genesis technology and Apocalypse technology all throughout the seasons. And it's until the very end of season 2, it was very unclear why there were these sprinkles here and there. And that, of course, the Light is working with Apocalypse and Darkseid. Yes. We've seen as much. So much is
that's been revealed.
Absolutely revealed. But we still don't know for what reasons, other than that they are literally employing metahuman children as weapons.
As weapons, yeah.
In off-world battles. We also see that in one of these episodes. The children that die.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Just the Megan's Martian little brother just murders 2 children because
it just activates their suicide override, I guess.
What, don't you have suicide override?
Well, I mean, I don't hope so.
No, so one of the
he executed Order 66.
Basically. No, so we were wondering, because so far, I mean, we've seen the boom tubes and stuff, and we saw the all-out battle on Rimbor, But Darkseid has yet to appear, and it's yet to appear a certain motive, and just where the fuck are we going this season in that respect. So one of the things that I've noticed is that there's been this very clear presence, especially in these last 3 episodes, of these VR goggles.
The good VR.
The good VR in the series. So
spelled GOODE.
So in the first 3 episodes of this season, we saw Beast Boy making some. Didn't we see him advertise these?
I think we did, yeah.
I think we've seen advertisements for them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're super popular. Everyone wants them.
In these last 3 episodes, they've literally been everywhere. In the park where they met with Dr. Fate, the guy who was murdered by Tara.
Yeah, he had them as well, yeah.
He had them as well in the club. Oracle was playing with them when Nightwing came over.
Yeah, the Bowhunter security team was protecting a large shipment of them.
Yep. And Roy did mention that they're hugely popular. Everybody wants them. And they're worth a lot on the black market. So
I mean, we've seen a very wide variety of people use them already as well.
Yes, a wide variety of people also, yeah, in every part of the world, to urban gangster types, to nerds, to Oracle, to club goers in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Which is, I didn't know that was a target audience for anything.
Well, I mean, when everyone is your target audience.
Yeah. So this smells a lot like the way that the Reach worked.
Very much so, yeah.
And so the question becomes, so what could this possibly be? And well, VR goggles, things that you put over your eyes to change reality. That to me screams AntiLife Equation.
Yeah.
Which is Darkseid's final. It's always his end goal in everything. It's to
definitely
instill the AntiLife Equation and just completely subjugate
domination.
Completely dominate an entire population of anything, really, with this device that'll rob you of meaning and just there is no life, there is no death, there is only Darkseid.
Yeah.
Darkseid is.
But I mean, as you showed me earlier, the episode
episode titles,
yeah.
If you line them up, and this is again Kikaku Master Greg Weisman, just absolute fucking madman. Kikaku Meister Greg Weisman
that's pretty good.
So he has hinted that there was a secret meaning in the episode titles, and usually they are double meaning titles that have different a
literal meaning and a metaphor,
subtle puns or a literal meaning and stuff like that. And this time around, it's even more so. So tell me what I showed you.
Yeah, I mean, at first you just showed me all the names of the titles, and like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
And there are
looking over them,
and there are a lot of them, and there are also episode summaries for a lot of them, and some of the later ones are pretty explicit as to what's probably going to happen in them. But that's not the thing.
No, but you showed me a second picture shortly afterwards, where you blacked out everything except the first letter of every episode title. And suddenly, it spelled out something. Prepare the AntiLife Equation.
And that's very specific.
Very. So that's going to be that a big thing? Perhaps.
It definitely seems like it's going to be. But this also this is really significant. Because this is also one of the things that, like, for instance, Nightwing's whole journey so far has been, like, they've been not only telling him that he would become the leader of the team, or a member of the Justice League or whatever, but they've been telling him from the get-go that he's gonna be Batman at one point. And so this whole anti-life equation thing sort of tells me that we could go into a situation like Final Crisis, which was a giant event in the comic books that wherein Darkseid invaded and installed the AntiLife Equation, and a lot of the not just the regular population but also the superhero community was completely overcome by this idea,
right?
And these control devices. So it's and one of the things that happened at the resolution of this is that, well, Batman dies, and Dick has to take over.
Oh, right, yeah.
As Batman.
That's
And I could...
That's a pretty shitty task if you don't want it.
Yeah. And I could definitely see us going there in a potential season 4 of Young Justice.
That's going to be interesting.
That is indeed going to be very interesting. And you know they're not beyond the whole clone force grow thing.
Oh, so, no.
So I mean, in the span of the series that we've seen so far now in season 3, 2 months has already passed since we began.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Just a month. Sorry.
Okay.
Started July 4th, and now we're in August.
Right.
So Damian could become a player. He could very well become a player by the end of the season. Jason.
I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with Jason.
Yeah, because I knew, I just knew that it could not be a coincidence that he was there as a memorial in the Mount Justice underground.
No, the amount of details in this series is just it's astounding.
He was there, and Tim has always been in Young Justice been very timid and very affected by having to fulfill a role that wasn't originally his. So he was not this. Tim was never this confident, ballsy Robin that Dick was, for instance. Dick was very easygoing, and he had a signature laugh. If you remember in the beginning of Young Justice.
Shut up. No, I don't.
Oh, he did have a signature laugh.
Oh man.
And his he had noisemakers with this laugh.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I recall.
Dick was very.
Those were great.
Yeah, Dick was very easygoing as Robin, but in those 5 years that passed between season 1 and 2, a lot of people were changed, and one of these things might have just been, Jason.
Very likely.
And now we have both Jason and Barbara, and a Bruce who is.
Oh man.
Bruce is also changed. Bruce is very much changed now. He was very caring and a very. He was a founding member of the Justice League. He was a linchpin of the Justice League. He was a cornerstone.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward again, as I mentioned, for the reveal of Jason. Partly because I really like the Red Hood, but also because it's gonna be traumatizing as all hell.
Yeah, it's.
So I'm looking very much forward to the reactions from, well, everyone who knew him and has mourned him.
Yeah. So one of the things is that if you watched the wonderful animated movie Under the Red Hood, which was also directed by the same director as Young Justice, Brandon Vietti, or is he the writer? No, I mean, I suppose Greg Weisman is the main writer. Brandon Vietti, who is also a big part of Young Justice, was instrumental for Under the Red Hood. And they've been using set pieces from Under the Red Hood.
Have they?
Yeah, it's a neat little feature in season 2 when we see Red Arrow, his rundown bullshit apartment. Yeah, director Brandon Vietti.
Yep.
Yes, we just looked it up. When we see Roy's rundown bullshit apartment in Bloodhaven, it's the same place that Joker that Jason takes Joker.
Holy shit! Really?
Under the Red Hood. It is the same room. It's the same set.
Oh, that's great.
That's a little.
That's pretty cool.
A nice little nod there. It's the room without a door. It is. If you look under the Red Hood, there is no door in that room.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, but so stuff like that, and the moment that they included Jason, because Jason is this really weird figure that he's either in there or he's not at all, because he's hard to do, and his main feature is dying and coming back as a murderous vigilante.
Yeah.
So, for instance, in the 90s, Batman the Animated Series and Batman the New Adventures of Batman it was called, I'm sorry, they skipped Jason completely.
Oh.
So they had the whole schism with Robin turning to Nightwing.
Yeah.
And the new Robin being taken on, a kid Robin.
Huh.
That was Tim. He did have features of Jason.
Yeah.
But they skipped Jason altogether and just went straight to Tim Drake.
So they just combined them a bit.
They combined them a little bit. So he was a street kid who was a bit of a rowdy character to begin with.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But and then they fucking did the thing with him in Return of the Joker, Batman Beyond movie. They did the thing where Joker fucking almost kills him. He tortures him and turns him into a mini Joker.
Yeah, yeah.
So what the fuck's even the point, man? It might as well just have been Jason.
Yeah, no, that's a strange thing.
Yeah, no. So that's the thing that's really interesting to see. I like that these things do happen, and as I mentioned in the last podcast, it's stories that we have seen told in different media, so we don't necessarily need them told again. So like the Killing Joke,
yeah,
was a recent animated movie. That was a whole big thing, if you remember.
Not particularly.
Okay.
I read it. I'm not sure I actually saw it.
Okay, no, I haven't seen it either, but there was a big controversy about the adaptation of The Killing Joke because, because they did some things to it. They changed some things that were a little bit weird. Stuff like they tried to...
the Hawaii t-shirt.
No, that was beautiful. No, so in an effort to, I suppose, engender some sympathy or to engender a personal connection to Barbara in the movie, in the context of the movie, not just as Batgirl or as Barbara, because the movies are self-contained. So it's if you don't watch the comics, if you don't know what Bruce's connection to Barbara is. You're sat there thinking, oh, so why does it matter that she's shot in the fucking stomach?
Right, yeah.
So her and Bruce had a sexual relationship in the movie.
Oh, yeah, no, I actually remember hearing about that.
Yeah, people were not happy about that, and I can definitely see why. Another thing was that it was Mark Hamill, the legendary voice of the Joker through the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
Had retired the role as Joker for a long time, because it's very tough on his voice.
No kidding.
Just like it is making a podcast.
Oh god, it's so hard.
It's so hard in the voice.
It's unbearable.
It's so hard in the voice when you talk all the time.
You're used to that.
I suppose I will have to be. No, so he had said that the one role that he would return for was Joker in Killing Joke.
Yeah.
And so he did. So one thing was there was massive publicity because obviously it's an iconic Batman story. It's a super iconic Batman story. It's possibly one of the most iconic Batman stories. Written by the wonderful Alan Moore.
Oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Author of The Watchmen, V for Vendetta, and Constantine, and Swamp Thing, and he's done a lot.
Among many others.
Grant Morrison. He's the author of Grant Morrison.
I was just imagining Grant Morrison as a little tramp stamp with Alan Moore on it.
I wouldn't put it past him.
No, that's actually true.
No, so the
God.
thing is, we know. So through these other stories, we can focus on the plots that are happening in Young Justice, and then just the other things are things that we can just get from other places. I think it's an interesting way to do a medium where they take references from other things that have other stories that already have been adapted a million times.
Yeah.
So that you don't necessarily need it.
We don't need it retold
to happen again. Yeah, exactly. So that was what we had for you this week. Did you enjoy these episodes? What's who would win in a fight between Jim Harper and Ubu?
I thought you were gonna say Alan Moore and Grant Morrison.
Who would? Well, everybody loses. They have sex, but everyone else loses. And tell us down below how you think Halo is gonna die next week.
Oh God. Oh, poor girl.
Poor girl. And
that's the third death so far.
Yeah, and do write us if you find a really good Halo snuff compilation.
Oh, by all means.
By all means.
By all means, yeah.
Do you think
Lovely.
our predictions will come true? Do you think it was Jason, the Red Hooded Ninja? Or are you an imbecile? No, what do you think is going to happen going forwards? What do you think we're going to be seeing? Do you think we're on the money with the AntiLife Equation? And what do you think about Tara and our theories about Deathstroke? All of these are things that you can comment down below.
I mean, we have Darkseid. So, I mean, AntiLife Equation is pretty much...
Oh, yeah.
It's almost guaranteed, but I also really want it to be a red herring.
And it could be.
It could very well be.
Because this show is bamboozly AF.
There's fucking plans in the plans in the plans.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to us Babylon once more. Babylon. We will see you next week here on Radio Rock Bottom.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye.